what's up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program.
The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966. 66!
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
One of the best females to ever strap into a board. She's from Quebec. She had whales in her backyard. Mary Francois, hailing all the way from Quebec, now residing in the tropics of Canada, Vancouver Island, aka Yuki. She built her own house out of clay. Ask yourself, could you build your own house? And then could you do it out of clay? This lady surfs and skateboards. She's out there protecting our winters. She's joined the club. She's at the forefront of progression, but it's been like 15 years of that, so it's almost kind of annoying. She's got a bunch of accomplishments, but we ain't gonna talk about them. Okay, we will. Women's Rider of the Year 2 times. Women's Video Part of the Year. Rookie of the Year. When she came on the scene, she just blew up. That's when you know you got talent. It's not like a few years in, Rookie of the Year. She just did it and just like Rookie of the Year. Boom! She also is one of the most stylish females out. I'm claiming it without a doubt. Her method? Whoo! Shit. Her turns? You can see that she's inspired. I don't know, Victoria Jalouse? Victoria Jalouse. Jesus, people are gonna kick me off this podcast real soon. She's got an X Games gold medal. No, she doesn't. That's a lie. But she came in 4th and 5th a bunch of times, and then she was like, the hell with this contest scene. I'm gonna dive into video parts. And she absolutely crushed it, as you just heard, picking up 4 or 5 awards at these Trans World and Snowboarder Awards, just cleaning it up. Filming with Rome and Absinthe, even making her own project, directing her own film, The Little Things. Truly, this female is a role model for not only the females, but for everybody. I'm a big fan. We are all about to enjoy this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy the show. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. We have Mary Francois, or I believe it's Mary Francois in French. Is that correct, or did I butcher that?
It's pretty good. It's good enough, close enough.
Well, how do you say it?
Marie-Francois. You're good.
Oh, I butchered it.
No, I to be honest, I really don't care. So you can call me whatever you like.
I mean, and to be honest, I'm super English, and I'm from Winnipeg. So, I mean, like, we just don't have the French accent.
No, you don't. But it's okay. There's a lot of French people in Manitoba here.
Yeah. They're huge, like 50%. But I'm outside in the suburbs, and in the suburbs, it's just Ukrainian people. Pierogies everywhere.
Freaking love pierogies. And
thank God.
But yeah, thanks for having me. Stoked.
Hell yeah. You guys have any cabbage? I mean, Ukrainian people also love cabbages. I know you grow a lot of food. You're all about that organic, sustainable, environmental living down there in Ucluelet on the island. Have you ever grown cabbage?
No, I am not a cabbage grower. Although
I
should. But I just feel like, a cabbage is awesome, but it just takes so much room in a garden just for one cabbage.
Oh my God. You're really about bang for your buck in your garden, eh?
Hey, it's important. I've learned a lot through the years of what my best yield can be. And it ain't cabbage.
Wow. The fact that you used yield, you are the most legit farmer I've met.
Well, I'm definitely not, so.
No, you are. What do you have in your garden? What are you growing this year? What's the crop? What's the pull going to be like?
This year is probably the best it's going to be ever with the current situation. So we just rebuilt a greenhouse and we have lots of greens. Like kale's always a big hit around here. It grows really well. Kale, spinach, lettuces, carrots, peas, beets, beans, tomatoes, zucchinis, cucumbers,
So you're growing the entire grocery store in your backyard. The only thing you're not growing is cabbages.
Yeah, basically. Sorry.
Yeah, cabbages, watermelon, and any other large fruit that take up too much room.
Exactly. Bananas.
So are you on that kale chip program? Is that a common... Have you done that before?
I have, and it's really, really good. But I just love it raw every day. Like, just getting fresh salad every day from the garden. There's nothing better.
Wow, I agree. My favorite thing out of an organic garden, which I haven't had for years because I haven't lived with my mom for years, nor have I had a backyard to be able to grow a garden, was the cucumber, though. I was a big fan of the cucumber and the carrot, I would say. There's nothing better than pulling a carrot out with a little bit of mud and washing it off, but there's still some traces of mud and you still eat it anyway. Incredible.
Yeah, that's the best. And the snap peas. Oh, those are so good.
Yeah. Yeah, true. So do you sell any of your produce to like your roommates and stuff, or do you put them I know you got some roommates. Do you put them to work on the garden? Is it everyone's responsibility to care for the garden?
Well, everybody helps out around here. And no, I don't sell the produce. You guys
You
gotta
should.
No, I don't have enough. To be honest, I don't even have enough to produce everything that I eat and that we eat here. But it's still really fun, just the fact that you can get your own food and just, I don't know, it's meditative too, just to grow your own food. And it's just the most quality, you know exactly where it comes from. There's no pesticides and none of that stuff. So I enjoy that aspect. And
So you're not using Miracle Grow. But Miracle Grow makes everything grow faster and it kills all the weeds.
Wow, what are you growing?
Nothing. I don't grow anything. And that's the reason why I'm so goofy, is because I'm not eating as good as you. So are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Keto? What's your diet?
We're going right into it.
Yeah, what is it? I want to know how you're living. You're so happy. Your skin looks good.
Oh my god!
Like, what do we do?
I'm not. I don't have a title. I guess I'm eating what's available at the time, and sometimes it's better than others. I'm not vegan. I'm pretty much vegetarian, but like I have chickens. I get my own eggs, so I do eat a lot of eggs. And sometimes if there is quality meat or fish, I will eat it. But over the last few years, I've really cut down on my consumption of meat, and especially the bad stuff, like the commercial meat that you don't really know where it comes from and what's in it. So pretty proud about that. But sometimes I'm trying to be aware of your situation, and I don't want to offend anyone if I go back to see my family and my dad's going to cook something for me, or I don't want to, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll eat it. If I'm on traveling somewhere and they're feeding me deer bum guts, I'm going to eat them.
That's my that's amazing. That's exactly the way I would live if I had a garden. I mean, I think I would eat mainly vegetarian, but I still would go home, and if my mom made a roast beef dinner, I would still dive in and be like, thanks, Mom. But because that's respectful, you know what I mean? Not everybody has to follow that, but I see what you're saying, and that's what I would do.
Thank you.
But I mean, I had A&W the other day, guilty. And did I feel bad? I did. So my question to you is, do you notice legitimately, do you feel better from your new diet? Do you feel better? Do you? Or do you want to go back to moving back to Whistler 15 years ago and crushing Domino's pizza?
I like that. That's how you think I fed myself, but
I don't. I actually don't at all. I just feel like I've seen you outside of Fat Tony's. I'm like, she must be eating it.
Yeah, definitely eating that. But no, I think that I like to pay attention and pay respect to these animals that I have chickens. I've killed a chicken before, and just doing that makes you really notice you get emotional and you really appreciate what you're eating. And I think that I'm not against people eating meat or people hunting or anything like that, but I think if we could be more connected to where our food comes from altogether, it's just
Big time.
it's better.
I agree. Over the last little while, I have noticed that I have, especially with my girlfriend who has an autoimmune disease, we've switched over to the whole plant-based diet a lot more. We don't really have meat at the house. Occasionally, I will treat myself if I go up to like Pemberton or something like that and get some organic meat. But it is nice to know where your shit comes from. You know, going to North Arm Farms and buying a bunch of organic produce and seeing that, you know, most carrots aren't the same size and shape. You know, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. You know, it's
Like women.
The variety, yeah, exactly. The variety is just spice of life. But when you go to, let's say, Safeway or IGA, every single orange and apple is the exact same color, shape, and size. And whoever figured out how to do that, good job. But that scares me now.
Miracle Grow, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Back to that Miracle Grow.
Yeah, but no, you get it. I think everything in like awareness, and I do feel good with my diet right now, and I love meat, to be honest, and I feel good when I eat meat, but I just eat way less of it. And I think eating your veggies is going to make you feel really good too. So, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, you know?
Yeah.
Everything in moderation except for vegetables and fruit.
Exactly. And cabbage.
Yeah, and cabbages. Get your cabbages. I mean, there's one thing about Ukrainians. We have stomachs of steel, and it's from thousands of years of only eating cabbage, which has a ton of probiotics in it.
That's right.
Well, maybe not just by itself, but I'm just the way it like ferments, like sauerkraut.
That's
like
sauerkraut.
our main thing in our diet for thousands of years.
I love sauerkraut.
Kimchi and sauerkraut. So Ukrainians were way ahead of the trend. That's just how we were living because we had no money.
That's it. It's like poor people food, right?
Yeah, potatoes and cabbages and rice and tomato sauce.
Well, tomato sauce it's up there. We're talking luxury here.
What about borscht? Have you ever made borscht? I know you live in Yuki. Rusty lives in Yuki. Rusty loves making borscht. I'm sure you've had some.
I haven't, but I've had his bread. He's gotten us on the sourdough kick. Everybody here.
Yeah. Do you think does he do a good loaf?
Oh yeah, legendary.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Legendary loaf by Rusty for sure.
Oh yeah.
Are you a loaf cooker or you just leave it up to Rusty? Do you guys change? You know, you drop off some fresh veggies.
Oh,
no
we're all
sauerkraut.
loafers now. Like the boys have a group text message about the serve that's called loafs.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad we dove into this. Dang, you guys got it going on in Yuki.
Yeah, it's like loaves and surf. That's what's happening.
So you moved to Yuki. Originally, you were from Whistler, born and raised. And no, I'm just kidding. You're from Quebec.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up there? What was your upbringing like? I know you had some older brothers. I've watched some videos and stuff like that in the past. What was it like growing up? Where are you from? Small town, big town?
I'm from the boonies in Quebec, so like small town. Like grew up on the side of a road, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I guess my dad was from Montreal, and he fell in love with this region we live in, which is called Charlevoix. It's like beautiful, very touristy now. It's like the area where there's the most mountains in Quebec. Great whale watching. It's right along the St. Lawrence River. And
you guys have whales?
Yeah, like where?
Wow.
Yeah, where
I didn't know that.
Where I live is like the start of the estuary, and the further you go northeast, the more whales you'll see. But when I was growing up, you used to see beluga whales on the ferry to L'Île aux Coudes. So it's kind of sad because the beluga whales are disappearing. But yeah, there's blue whales even.
What?
Yeah.
I see. For a minute there, I'm just gonna say this. Some people are gonna. I stopped believing in blue whales because you ain't seeing anybody posting any photos or videos of a blue whale. I'm like, is that real? Like those things are like 4 school buses long. I stopped believing in them. But right today, if you had them in your backyard, I believe in them. I do.
Well, yeah. I mean, to drive.
Have you seen one before?
I have seen one before when I was a kid.
What? Are you sure it wasn't just a whale though? Like maybe it was just a whale and you thought it was just like,
Well,
or you knew it was a blue whale because it was just like so big.
well, the blue whales were rare. They were a rare sight. And I'm sure they're even more rare now. But like there's this amazing spot on the North Shore in Quebec that you can go and sit on the rocks, and it's really deep water. And you see all these whales come by. It's like this one of their like migration route. And we would just be sitting on the rocks all day, eating sandwiches and looking for pearls and mussels and just watching whales, camping. It's awesome. That's how
You know what I had in my backyard? A bunch of wheat. Way less cool. Wheat and crows. And some deer.
Oh, well, to be fair, this is not right in my backyard. That's an hour drive or something. But still, just have access to that.
And an hour from my backyard is still wheat.
It's still that's for sure. Like in 24 hours.
Oh, that's amazing. So your youth was incredible. How did you why aren't you a marine biologist?
Well, that was my plan. I actually went to school in ecology to study applied ecology. So to be a technician, because I really wanted to be outside and hands-on and be working on research that would help protect the environment. Because I was passionate about that from a really young age. I think being outside and having access to all these, outdoors resources. And my dad and my mother, it's not like they were like hippies or anything like that, but just to bring us camping and fishing, I think it's just connected me from a young age, and just from growing on the side of the road and surrounded by forest and ponds and lakes. And I could notice the effects of human development on my playground, and
Firsthand.
And
yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, and even from being a kid, I could tell that was problematic, and I have always was like, yeah, this is what I want to work in. And I remember when I went to school, people were like, yeah, there's no jobs in that. Like, what are you like? And I was like, I don't care. I think actually there will be a lot more jobs in that, and I just wanted to work in something I believe in and that is meaningful. So yeah, I went to school in ecology, and then I still love snowboarding. Yeah, I'm skipping steps now, but snowboarding got in the way, but in a good way.
Snowboarding got in the way. No, it's fine. It all happened for a reason.
Yeah.
So what age did you start snowboarding? Like, what was the first time? What was your setup? What was your background in snowboarding?
So I skied for one day, and my two older brothers were already snowboarding. They didn't even ski one day. And then I was like, yeah, screw skiing. I want to be a snowboarder. My first board was a Solid. I don't know if you've ever heard of that brand.
No, I haven't. I'm psyched on that, though. Like, was that a Walmart brand, or is that just before my time?
No, I think it was an actual, I feel like I've seen some older
Solid.
ads. And
dang.
It was, we went to the store, and there was a pile of boards on the ground that had defects in them. And then my dad was like, okay, pick something in that pile, because that's all you're getting.
That's my type of dad right there. Yeah. You don't need the best. You only skied for one day.
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably going to quit this thing too.
But then, I was hyped. There was real edges on there, and
wasn't a farm street dweller. Good call.
No, it was like that was 11 years old, so I don't know what year that was, but I guess my second real board was in Atlantis, Danielle Frank. I was so hyped on that.
Whoa.
But that was years
later.
Heavy.
That's a real board, though. That's a real heavy hitter.
Yeah, that's when we were like committed, and I was hyped.
What age would that be when you were committed to snowboarding? You know, in a real relationship, a monogamous one with just snowboarding. You cut out the whales.
Well, yeah.
You had to pick.
I guess my real, that Atlantis board, I must have been 14, maybe 3 years after the Solid, maybe 2. Yeah.
Dang.
Something like that. But we snowboarded from 11 years old. We had a pass every year. And my dad was like, I'm not watching you guys in hockey. I don't have money and time to put you guys in every sport. I'm going to go skiing if you guys want to snowboard. Let's go. And it was so funny because he would always we would snowboard like first year to last year every day. And he would always have a beer with his friends at the end, and we'd be waiting in a cafeteria. Like the whole lodge would be empty, but we couldn't go in the bar, and we'd just be waiting for hours. And it was just...
That sounds amazing. Your dad sounds like a legend.
He is. He worked really hard, and I don't know. I was 9 years old. My parents separated, and my mom decided to leave because she was dealing with depression. And it was really hard for her to leave, but my dad took on, all of us 3 kids, and he raised us by himself with a construction company, a small one, and he was just up every morning at 4:30, and just insane. Yeah, my dad's my hero.
What a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that me and you haven't gone through because we don't have kids, but it's so powerful when a parent just goes this is what I have to do. I don't want to get up at 4:30 and go to do this construction job, but I'm going to because I'm incredible.
Wow.
Wow, what a hero.
Yeah. Cheers to René Roy.
Yeah. Yeah, no wonder you turned out so well. You know what I mean? And he did a damn good job because you're somebody I can honestly say, you meet a lot of people in life, but you got something about you that it's so, you glow. You got you've always been so nice to everybody. It's true. You're, I don't know anybody who doesn't like you. And, that in itself is incredible. Way to go. Everybody likes you.
There are a few out there.
We don't need them.
I try not to have any enemies, that's for sure.
So you got your Daniel Frank board, you got addicted to snowboarding. Did your brothers stick with it, or at one point did you just fall so in love with snowboarding you definitely were damn, I want to be like my older bros.
For sure.
And they're probably you can't hang, and then eventually you started hanging.
That's right. Well, at first I wasn't I wasn't allowed to hang the first year. So
You weren't allowed?
Well, they were older than me.
That's some older brothers. That's some legit older brother stuff right there.
And so the first year I followed my dad, and he loved to ski moguls. So my first year snowboarding, I learned in the moguls. And we both had these hats with the furry hats with the flaps on the side.
Which is a good look.
Sick look with a panel up front, And I was just bumping in the moguls, following dad. And then this after that, I was I didn't want to be excluded anymore. And my dad forced my brother to take me with the squad, with them and their friends. And they were so bummed to have me tag along, and they were so mean to me. And I wouldn't say a word all day. I was so intimidated, and I would do everything I could to keep up. I tell this story all the time, but sometimes I would pee my pants because I didn't want to have to stop and have them to wait for me, because they wouldn't. They probably would have, but I just didn't. I couldn't afford. You can't be the girl who needs anything. When you're the girl, especially the younger one, they're not going to stop for the girl to pee.
Oh, wow. I think they would have. I think they would have. You should have gave them a chance.
I guess so. But, that's it. That's how you, it was just so.
Hey, that's the same thing. You wanted so badly to be involved in their little circle.
Yep.
And I was the same way, but it's the reverse. See, my sister's 3 years older than me, and she was friends with all the cool older dudes, and they were in bands and stuff, and I wanted to hang out, and she wouldn't let me. I just wasn't allowed. And I would do anything to be can we can I hang? Can I come to this thing? It's no, my little brother can't come and stuff. So I got the same thing. I just, I wasn't peeing my pants. I was doing other stuff.
I guess. Well, but then did you end up going with her and the cool kids?
Yeah, well, I mean, eventually, once I got old enough, once I turned 15, 16, then I got to be a part of the club. Not because my dad made them, but just because I just forced my way in, I just never gave up. I had a dream, and I was like, one day I'll be cool enough to hang out with my older sister.
Oh, you're throwing down those teasy tricks, and she was like, "Damn, we gotta take him in."
No, my sister and I did snowboard for 1 year. Actually, my sister started snowboarding before me, actually, but as soon as I got into it, she was far gone. I'm just strictly talking about like I just looked up to my sister like most younger siblings do, and I was just like whatever she was doing, I thought was cool.
That's
I'm just
so
like,
rad.
what? Like you like Dance Mix 92? Like so do I. Who doesn't like Sandstorm?
That's cool because I love that your role model was a girl, and that you were, for me,
for sure.
it was guys, and I just always assumed that that younger guys don't look up to their older sister that much. That's cool. It's really
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, obviously my inspiration for like skating, snowboarding, and the way I dressed was based off of like
the Beastie Boys.
Other things. So people, no, I mean, kind of Beastie Boys. I'm from Winnipeg again. Back to the whole the cabbage and wheat fields. Like we liked Korn, Slipknot, Eminem,
oh, yeah, you're
Dr.
younger
Dre.
than me.
Blink-182. That was like our life. It was pretty interesting growing up there. But the dynamic, yes, it was. I looked up to my sister for sure because she was the first one into like house music and like punk music, and I wasn't really into that stuff growing up. But then eventually, I was like, "Whoa, that stuff's pretty sick." Although she did like the softer of both. And then eventually I took it to the extreme, I was just like, oh shit, like I like whatever, Offspring. Actually, she had the first Offspring CD and I stole it from her all the time. But this isn't my podcast, this is yours.
I love it. I loved Offspring too, trust me, because my older brothers loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Offspring was sick. Old Offspring is actually so sick.
It's the sickest.
Yeah.
But yeah, my brothers, to answer your initial question, they were the sickest rippers. Like my brother could do 1080 off like a 5-foot jump. It was insane.
Your brother could do a 1080 in the 90s?
Oh yeah.
Why wasn't he on Forum?
I don't know, because we grew up in the middle of nowhere, and like the contest.
That's actually amazing. So if you look back, actually, did you think your brother, like if he kept with it, could have been
Oh yeah, both of them. Both of them would be pro if they wanted to. And I don't know why I stuck with it. Out of all of us, I was the most scared of it and the shittiest rider of all of us. but
hey, it's the people that are persistent that make it through, It's never the best. It's like they just keep on going and eventually they become, like the best. But, at the beginning, you probably weren't the best. You were riding the moguls, which, you know what? That mogul phase that you went through is probably the reason why you can land so well in the backcountry. Without you knowing, those mogul years were probably some of the strongest years, Whoa. It ingrained in your head, you can't give up or you're going to fall on the next mogul.
That's right. It for sure helped me. There's no doubt.
Board control, for sure.
Yeah. Sweet. Good old times. But yeah, my brothers they're a huge part of who I am today. And I'm so thankful for all they taught me and for them taking me under their wings and putting up with me.
Do they still find time to snowboard and stuff? Do they still get out there and rip, or is snowboarding something they've put aside?
No, they do. They do still rip. I mean, one of them lives out here now, like in the same town as me in Yuki. And he hasn't snowboarded in a while, but my other brother back home, he's actually like splitboarding now, and he has 2 kids, and so the nephews are like starting to like ski and like snowboarding. So that's really exciting. And like they have like the property we grew up on, like there's actually some kind of a pretty nice, decent slope. So they're built a sugar shack, and they're like, he even cleared some slopes in the woods for them, and
dang,
it's pretty sick.
Well, your nephews are definitely going to have a huge female role model in their life, because without a doubt, they're going to be looking up to you. They will look up to their father too, but let me tell you, when they watch all your video parts, they're going to be like, damn, my aunt is so sick.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I don't know. I don't think they care that much, but
That's what you think right now. How old are they?
Well, they're like, they're growing so fast, like 9 and 7.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but yeah. But it doesn't matter. Whatever like you're into, as long as you have a passion and you know, you have something to be stoked on. That makes
That's
me
something
happy.
that us snowboard people, I don't think take for granted, but we found a passion at a young age and we stuck to it, which I mean, I hope for everybody they can find something, whether like, because a lot of people find their passion early on and then when they're their 40s, 50s, 60s, they're completely lost because their passion's burnt out and they're not into it anymore. But finding your passion somewhere throughout your life is so important. And I'm so grateful that I found mine at such a young age, something that I could just dive into completely. And I mean, that's what I'm still doing.
That's right. Like
And it's the best ever.
you wouldn't be the same person at all
No.
without it. And yeah, we're so lucky.
Seriously, snowboarding has shaped me in so many ways, especially with like even that stuff that's going down in the States right now, like that whole George Floyd thing. But like where I'm from, there was a lot of like racism and stuff. And then going into the whole skateboard and snowboard community that is so embrace people with open arms, no matter what differences they are, is just like something, I'm so grateful that I was like a part of that movement at such a young age coming from where I came from because there's a lot of friends I have that still are speaking in ways that I'm just like, how are you talking like this? It's like crazy. And it's like they just don't know any better. They're just stuck in their small little echo chamber and they just, they hear what they want to hear and they don't travel. And if they do, they go to an all inclusive and they just don't understand, the bigger picture. And it's kind of sad.
That's it. It all comes down to education. And in a way, I think snowboarding was our school for so many different things. Like all the places and I've gone to see with snowboarding and the people I've met throughout the years and the personal growth that it gives you is incredible. And
huge.
And I think that it connects to so many things that are happening around the world today, whether it's social justice, environmental issues. It's like there's so much work to be done still and so much education to be had. And I think to have something, whatever it is, a passion that gives you identity and a way to develop this type of like self-growth is so important. Yeah.
It's like the most important. I feel like it's the most important thing going forward in humanity. But it's important to not just find all your information on your own Facebook and Instagram feed because that is the echo chamber. You got to look past that. There's so much information out there, especially like as I get into in the last 2 years, I've got really into like learning and downloading audiobooks for me because I'm always on the go about history and just learning about history in general, no matter what you want to learn about, like even like going into the 50s and then figuring out why they first start mass producing food and what chemicals they use to make craft dinner in the 60s and 70s. You can educate yourself to a point where you're like, that's not good for people. And that's where a lot of the diseases and cancers came from.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, get informed. There's so much information out there on your fingertips now with your phone. It's just, maybe put the album down you've been listening to on loop on your phone and download a book on history something that you like and get educated.
That's it. I think you nailed it there. I think it's so easy to have access to information nowadays. And what I love is that recently things are not going really good in the world. You could say that, but at the same time, I think people are becoming more aware and standing up for what's right and speaking up more. And I like to see that. I really do, because if we remain silent for what's wrong, it's just as evil as the ones doing the wrongs, and
oh, big time.
And it's just like we have so much more power than we know. And the power in the movement, as long as it's as long as it's done respectfully, is just incredible. And that's the best way to change the world, is coming together and defending something we care for. If you look at Quebec, like just like the students tuition fees. Like the only reason why education is still so cheap in Quebec is because they've been protesting for years. And you know what I mean? It's like the power of people rising up, and it's kind of unfortunate how violent it's gone right now in the States, but
Yeah, it is.
It's really unfortunate, and that's because it's gone too far. Yeah.
It has. It's gone too far since the beginning of time, really. And I mean, like, when you suppress people for so long,
Yeah.
it's so hard for me to even justly talk about this being a white male. Even you being a female has somewhat of like a restriction on, especially growing up, like being told what you can and cannot do. You know, there was one black guy in my school and like 2 Asian people. And like there was no racism where I was from towards them, because it's just like, you know, we were just kids, you know what I mean? But seeing it in the States is just so different than, you know, there are places in Canada, unfortunately, that obviously still have these issues, even with like the First Nations people.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that it was real until I went to the States for the first time, like going through California. And you can see it firsthand that like these people aren't treated the same. And like, no wonder a 16-year-old right now is going out and just smashing a window, because they're just like, nobody cares about me. And I don't know tomorrow if I'm just going to be the one who's getting murdered or put in jail.
Yeah.
So it's like, what kind of hope do they have when like their brother or sister or somebody else has been unjustly treated, and their mom and dad are saying that it's been happening to their grandparents and so on and so on? It's so easy as a white male to say, like, you know, this stuff shouldn't be happening, but I don't know what it's like. You know, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes more than saying like what's right and wrong right now, you know, like,
yeah.
I mean, but I just hope that everyone stays safe, because I was talking to a friend today and he's like, dude, the military here is with tanks. They have snipers on the buildings. Like, I'm like, dude, like,
Where was that?
just
Which city?
in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Downtown Seattle. Yeah. My K2 team manager. He's like, dude, it's like full gridlock. The military's out. It's like not chill. It looks like a war zone. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
That is so brutal.
and the only thing you can really hope for is that after this, there's actual change. And I think that there's so many people now, even with social media, that's all everyone's posting about. So it's like, you hope there's some change. I mean,
yeah,
please
slowly,
be some change.
Little by little, people. I mean, this it's been happening for way too long, and not enough has changed. And it's just, change takes time. It's the same with everything. Like even in Canada, you mentioned it, like First Nations issues. Like it's like it's so unfair. The inequalities that are going on are just so deep with our history, like you said too, and we just really take it for granted, our privilege. And this is really a wake-up call.
A huge wake-up call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all have a lot of work to do, and even in the outdoors, we have so little diversity, and you know, it's crazy, because if anything I've learned from snowboarding and women in snowboarding is that if you want to empower them, you need to give them the opportunities. You need to, you know, invest and bring them in, and it's not something we've done very well in the outdoors.
Growing up, we had a lot of female shredders at our local hill growing up, and a lot of like Dara Reed, Jillian Andrushenko, and a few other really good female boarders coming from like the smallest hill. And there wasn't really a sense of like, you know, this girl can't make it because she's a girl. But then as soon as we got out west, it was like, where there is no opportunity. They came out west too. And then as soon as me and Jeeves and Kevin and Jake got here, it's like, oh, we could film for Sandbox and stuff. But like Dara and Jill were just like, well, unless I am the best, like one of the top 10 females, there is no opportunity. There's nothing, you know, at that time you have your fingers crossed and like, hopefully someone from Runway is your friend. But if you can't get in that, it's like, for guys, there's like 20 films, you know, Absinthe, Standard, Forum, DC, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then all the AM productions. There's like 50 productions globally that if you're a male, you're like, well, wherever I live, if I'm a pretty good guy and I have some sort of creative bone in my body, I'm probably going to be featured in one of these films. Because girls are buying probably, I actually don't know this factually, but I'm assuming girls buy a lot of the products that keep brands in business. Whether or not it's all like the boards, where I grew up, every single girl had like a Burton sweater, a Forum sweater, you know what I mean? Because they thought it was cool.
Yeah.
They're still supporting the industry. And a lot of them are just too shy to get involved because it's an intimidating thing to be a part of. But if there was more girl films and more girl ads, they would be like, oh, I'm included in
For
this.
sure. And just, it's funny because just the other day I was watching a post that my Rome team manager at the time just posted an old story of like, oh, when we filmed that front 270 on the VHS rail in my first part and probably my best part ever. And in any means. And it's so.
Then you got Rookie of the Year in that part,
Yeah.
didn't you?
And it's, things were going well before that, but that part is really what put me on the map. And it was so cool that, before when they decided to make that film, that was the first Rome film ever. And John Cavan, he was the team manager. And at the first team meeting, we had all the writers there in Vermont. And he was like, I just want to make it clear to everyone that Marie's going to have a part and it's just as important as any of you guys' part. And I want you guys all to help her. If she needs help or to film or whatever, I want you to be there for her. And like that, just like to have that kind of support, it was like my dad saying to my brothers, like, hey, I don't care what you guys think, you're going to help her out and she's in the squad. Okay. So suck it up. But that is what like started like it put me on the map so much more, and just have that kind of support like made me believe in myself. And they like it got in their brain too, because obviously they were good guys and they supported me and they liked me, but like to have it reminded, it's like, okay, yeah, for sure we will, and it's just amazing to have people who are like that, and you need that too to really.
Yeah, those are leaders. Yeah. Those are leaders that are moving where we want to go in a normal, healthy culture that we're all hoping for in the future.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So that year was big for you. Any means, I mean, I remember that part. I remember specifically, what was it? You were hitting this down rail and you did a back nose press and a back 5-0, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if that was that part, but I don't.
Okay, there's a back 5-0 that you did on that long down rail that I remember from one of your older parts, and I remember being like, no one even films that clip, and I was just like tripping out. But your any means part, I remember when it came out, being a kid, and then seeing you at Camp of Champions the following summer, and being like, fanboy for sure. Like, there she is, top dog in one of my favorite videos.
Wait, you were a camper? I feel like you were always a coach.
No, I wasn't a coach. I was the lunch boy.
That's right.
I think, were you coaching that year, like 2006? Did you coach?
Yeah, I coached a few years.
Yeah. So when you were coaching, I was just the lunch boy. I was, making sure you guys were getting your, your fruits and veggies in you and your processed meats.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
That was
the good old days. But yeah, that's crazy. But you were a camper before that, right? Back then?
Yeah, I was a camper in like 2003, 2002.
Okay. Yeah.
Like long, yeah. Like, yeah.
Who was your coach?
When I was like 14. This guy named Mike, he said, my name's Mike. I ride Big Mountain and I don't really like the park. And me and my buddy Anthony are from Winnipeg and we're like, what? Like, why are we here? Like, we came all the way from Winnipeg to ride the park. And we ended up just riding with like Jesse Fox and Mike Page.
Wow.
And JP Walker was up there. I mean, Mike Page was there, and I was a huge Mike Page fan, and I was just like, him and Jesse Fox, I was just like thrilled. I was like, whoa.
Oh, man.
This is the best.
I would have been too. It was my dream to go to High Cascade or Wendell's, but yeah, it's just sick that you got to meet all those guys.
Did you ever luck out and get to go to a camp as like a
No,
camper?
no. But yeah, I had the brochure and I was like, this is so sick. There was like this clip of Pterodactylis, I'm pretty sure. Like she had a hose and was spraying all the kids. And then there's this other photo of this girl was like, I learned backside rodeos today. I'm like, no way. I want to learn backside rodeos.
Those ads are so important. They were like the biggest deal to me. I remember the Windells and the High Cascade. They would draw out the entire park, but it would be like a doodle, and it would just be like, this is roughly what the park's going to look like this year. And I would look at every single drawing and be like, do I go there or do I go to Camp of Champions? And I would be like watching all their stuff on Transworld. And like at that time, Transworld had like a forum that you could go on and kids would be like basically just fighting each other before Facebook and MySpace. Just like, because no one had to log in and say their name. So it'd just be like, and they would just be fighting over which, Windells is better, no High Cascade, no Camp of Champions. We ended up going to Camp of Champions, and but yeah, those ads were so big to me. And a quick plug there, yeah, Pterodactylis. I had a huge crush. I had a poster of her in my room.
For sure. How could you not? Like, I was.
She was like my dream girl when I was her and Victoria. I was just like, wow.
That's right. You told me about your Victoria crush. That's legit. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, and she is. I'm like more of a snowboard nerd than I've ever been, and I watch all of her old parts now. And all of her old standard parts, it's just like, wow, she is so sick.
She's insane.
Like the way she flows down a mountain, her style is it's amazing. It's till this day, it's incredible.
It's incredible. It's still the best to this day, like out there ever.
I draw inspiration from her turns. I like watch the way she rides down. I'm like, I want to look like that with my back knee. And your new footage that came out in an Arbor made like a thing of you, I think that came out like a year ago or 8 months ago. And you had a zone where you were flowing down the mountain, and I was like taking notes on your back knee. And to plug quickly, Hannah, Tim Eddy's girlfriend, she kind of has that back knee flow. Like,
yes,
it's really
great
sick.
style.
Yeah.
I've been working on my turn because I've hung out a lot with Yoder.
It came through. Well, it worked because I noticed it in your footage, your recent footage, that like your snowboard turning is the best it's ever looked. It looks incredible.
Well, I think that it wasn't even that good, but I don't know. I just love that even after so long snowboarding, I'm like, damn, like I'm not even turning properly. And like just watching some masters of turning, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh, I know it. People, when I was like 24, so if you throw it back like a while ago, I used to think I was good. I'd go in the park, I'd do spins off everything and jib stuff. And then I was riding POW, and you're sendy and you build the jump and you just spin off of it and hope for the best. But I can honestly say it took me a while to learn even how to carve out in the backcountry. Like I wasn't even doing it right until like last year. It's just like, it was so all wrong. It's like a totally different element than like just flying off of a jump.
Yeah, totally.
And it's a way better element.
And it's not that it's wrong, because obviously all these years we've been having fun in the powder, but like to actually see a new element of the turning and the flow, it's just so refreshing and exciting. And now you're seeing other riders like doing it well too. And I just find it so cool because it's so rad to appreciate snowboarding, even if it's like really low consequence and it's not the most progressive, but it's just style. It's like an art at its purest form, like the way you glide through snow, and it's like so sick.
Oh, I forget someone had an old quote a long time ago in an old, I think it was a Thrasher magazine. I just remember because it was in a skateboard magazine when I was a kid. And it was something about style. Like by one of the goats, I forget who it was. And it was just something about, I'd rather watch somebody do something with style than someone do something crazy without it. And it's like that, honestly, that at that time when I was like a young kid stuck with me because I was like, why do I like these guys more? And I was so drawn to like simplicity from such a young age. I was like, and then when Bandwagon came out, like all those French dudes were doing simple tricks, but like perfectly. And I was like, whoa, that's exactly how I want to do a lip slide. Like,
Well,
like right in the middle to regular. Like and there was a lot of people then that were jibbing and, just getting into the Smith and hoping to God to make it down to the end of the rail. And then I was like, whoa, what those guys are doing is so sick.
well,
And you were friends with a lot of those dudes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess we had some really good trips together, and Quebecers, we stick together. But you are not only doing tricks proper, but like you are truly the king of style, and that's so sick. I mean, everyone would agree. It's just so fun to watch you ride. I'm sorry, it's just the truth.
I disagree. Every time I watch myself, I go like, should have added a little bit more Danny Cass. Could have been a little bit more E-Man. And now for you, next year when I'm going out turning, I'm going to just be watching my footage like, yo, I got MFR's knee, dude.
No.
What's your stance right now? What's your angles?
I don't know. It's always changing. I don't.
Oh, but let's talk about that. Because I bet you most snowboarders, I would say for, 2005 to 2015, probably had the same stance the entire time.
Yeah.
Maybe it fluctuated a bit, but in the last 3 to 4 years, people have been, I swear, every dude I talk to now, every girl I talk to, it's like, what's your stance? Everyone says the same thing. I don't know. I switch it all the time. There's no longer like the stance that people are using all the time. Like I'll switch it if it's like a super deep day to like a park day. Like I'm switching it around all the time. So when you get like a King Snow checkout or something like that, which doesn't really happen anymore. But if it did, and they always ask you what your stance is, I would have to say, I don't know, because I'm switching it all the time. I still haven't figured it out.
Totally. I feel like I had to answer that question recently. I was like, well, what is it? I just made something up because I was like...
You're lying on an interview?
I'm not lying. I'm just keeping it simple.
Shit.
But yeah, it is changing and it is evolving, and I love that snowboarding. That's why we'll never die. It's because it's so much more than just a progressive sport. It's just an art. It's like music. It's like the style is what makes it unique and timeless. It's so rad.
I used to hate that whole like snowboarding is art, and I hated it when I was like in my late 20s. I loved it when I was growing up as like a kid. I was like, yeah, skateboarding and snowboarding's art. But I just didn't like how it was so like, oh, that's like cliche. And like what now that I'm older, I'm like, dude, this shit is art. That's all it is. This is an expression to the way you dress, to everything. It's like comes down to like the whole being of snowboarding is just like an art form.
It is.
And more than ever, it's like, especially when you go and watch it, the people who dedicated their lives to like turning and flow and style, it's like that is art in its purest form. Some people, I could go off on some of the guys I like, but they've been perfecting their craft for, including yourself, and it only gets better over time.
Yeah.
There's so many artists right now, and by artists I mean snowboarders that are getting older and they're not spinning off of, all these step downs anymore, but they're doing it in a new way. And it's,
That's me. Like, I feel like I'm just getting started. I have a fully new...
Yeah, it's like a new way of snowboarding.
Yeah, I feel like I'm learning so much still, but in very different ways. And yeah, I'm not throwing down or hucking myself like I used to, but I still really enjoy the mountain and the like we talked about how to ride with style and flow and reading the terrain and the features, and instead of like going out there with a trick in mind, it's like really like going out there to see what you find and get inspired by that. And I mean that's always the case with backcountry, but I don't know. And I also love about snowboarding is that it's not just an art, but it's a connector. It's a connector with people. It's a connector with your surroundings, with nature. It's a connector with I don't know. It's just for me, it's become such a valuable tool if you want to share things you care about because of the connection with people and nature. And I think that's the coolest part about snowboarding, really.
I agree. That was incredible. And there is something to say for getting older or more mature that, especially someone like yourself, you said you grew around with like this cool backyard. You've always had an appreciation for nature. It's like, now instead of snowmobiling and using the heli as much as, you once did, you're like, you can enjoy the split up probably just as much as the ride down, because just being out in nature on this slippery piece of wood, with a decent amount of snacks. Like, do you ride for Cliff Bar?
Cliff Bar.
With a good Cliff Bar, in your backpack.
Shot blocks, salty watermelon. Yeah, no, for sure. But like, to be fair, like, it's not like I only split board. And last year I did maybe 15 days of sledding because we're filming for Robin's new project called Fabric, which is featuring.
Sick. That's gonna be good.
It's female surfers, skateboarders, and snowboarders, and there's a bunch of storytelling in there, like activism, and it's gonna be really neat. And so in order to film with the crew, I was out there snowmobiling, and it was such a reminder of how productive it is to have a tool.
Oh yeah. It's a full day to ride one line when you're going splitboarding or sledding. You're like, I'm going to do this line 20 times. And the next time it snows, I'm going to do it perfectly.
Exactly. And just to have a crew, right? If you want to film and you want a crew that, like a filmer that will come film you splitboarding, good luck. Like, it's so hard to find. But yeah, it's like some of the days to get productive, I still go out there on a snowmobile. But over the last few years, I've done a lot of touring, and it's just the most amazing experience. I just love it. And, I'm really excited for electric sleds because, like I say, I'm not a fan of the noise and the smells. But you need the tool for the job. And sometimes people are so harsh about the snowmobiles. And as someone who cares about the environment, I'm like, I'm not thinking that everybody who owns a sled or truck is bad by any means. And like, I think people are always like, oh, you don't sled anymore at all. And yes, I gave up my truck and snowmobile for 4 years. And last year, Jamie let me use hers, which was really nice on the days we needed it. But it's just like, I'm not against it. Obviously, even biologists will use helicopters. And, sometimes like, it's just, the technology's not there yet, but
you said it. You need the tool for the job, and it doesn't mean that you're not doing a hell of a good job informing others on what they can do to offset doing other things. Whether it's your diet, whether it's splitboarding when you don't need to have a sled, biking around Yuki instead of driving around. But a lot of these people that are calling out people for owning a snowmobile or a helicopter, their job could be, I have to fly from place to place.
That's right. And I mean, I guess the point, you just nailed it there, that it's like, it seems like in this kind of conversation, people get super defensive or pointing the finger at each other like, oh, don't tell me you care if you're doing all this and this wrong. And I think that's just missing the initial issue. It's like, obviously, we can't just give it all up and be perfect overnight. But things can be better. And like, one of the best, like, you just got to figure out what your best way to act up on that is. And it's going to be different for everyone. And I don't think the answer is to ask everybody to give up everything they love or their work, or like develop this anxiety or stress over, oh my gosh, like my footprint. It's more about, okay, what are your skills and gifts and resources? What can you give and bring into this fight that will be beneficial because we don't have the same resources. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. And yeah, like I said, for me, snowboarding has been a really good tool, like whether with the filmmaking and just even as a platform or like, yeah, getting people to love the outside and falling in love with something out there and in the mountains. It's cool.
It's so important. The more people love nature and love the mountains and love surfing, just the outdoors in general, mountain biking, whatever, the more the appreciation they have for that, the more they're like, I want to keep this as pristine and beautiful as possible. Then they start implementing better actions to not ruin it, does it have, like you said, it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it, there's people like you that are, such big promoters of, caring for the environment. And there's things like, POW that have started and stuff like that. It spreads so much knowledge throughout so many people that everybody starts taking small steps because everybody starts inspiring everybody. And then before you know it, people like, Nike and Adidas and Billabong, North Face, whatever, then they're all like, okay, maybe our sweaters shouldn't come in plastic bags anymore. They should all come in biodegradable, like this kind of, or bamboo bags or whatever. Mm-hmm. It starts a ripple effect. There can't be a ripple if nobody throws a pebble.
Oh, wow. What a quote. Did you just make that up?
I just did. That was just me on the top of my head.
Wow. Write it down. Holy. Yes, epic. I'm supposed to come out with the good quotes, but yeah, that won't happen.
That was amazing. One thing I gotta switch over to here real quick, because this story is incredible. I've heard it before. Did you really drive to the US Open at like 16, 15, 17, something like that, and sleep in your car because you had nowhere to stay?
Yeah.
I know that's so off the environmental shit we were just talking about,
it's great.
But it just came to my mind that I'm like, this is something that's incredible. It came to my mind, and if I skip this, I'm gonna hate myself forever.
I just didn't have any money, and I had this old Jetta at the time, and the roof leaked, and I didn't know anybody, and I just wanted to go to US Open, so I just drove there, and I slept in the parking lot, and in the mornings I would be up so early because you're kind of cold and not sleeping the best, and so this one morning,
yeah, you didn't know anybody. Did you cry in your car? Like, I just want to come give you a hug. That sounds like such a that's some serious willpower right there. That's some motivation. That
I mean, I used to do that all the time. Like, when I first started competing, like, I came from Le Massif. We didn't have a little like crew there really, besides my brothers. And like, so whenever I would go to contests around Quebec City or Montreal, everybody had their squads, right? So it's like I could see all these bandwagon guys. I would see them all the time at contests, but I didn't know them, or they didn't talk to me, or I didn't talk to them because I was intimidated, and I was always showing up alone. So like at my first contest in Montreal, I was so intimidated. Like, all my clothes were so ripped apart, and really everybody was wearing this brand new shit, and they all were talking to each other like they're best friends, and I felt like I wanted to leave. I was like, I'm out of here. I just wanted to cry. And that was my first experience. And then in the end, I just focused on the snowboarding, and I think I won that time, and it just was like, okay, like, it's okay. I just wanted to meet these people, and slowly I met them. And so, but that gave me the confidence to keep going out on my own, even if I didn't know anybody. And like, still to this day, I think that's the best thing ever. Like, people are too scared to do things on their own. Like, people won't even eat at the restaurant alone. Like,
yeah, this one time I went to Bear, and I did not fit in, and it sucked. You're just at the bottom, and all you want to do is be a part of like the club. Zach Hale was there, Gabby Viteri was there, Alana Height was there, Louis Vito, and I was like, all these people, and I was like, whoa, those are people that are interesting. But just like, I was just standing on the outskirts, and I didn't know any of them, nor were they making it seem very inclusive. And I was like, whoa, this is a sad day. I remember not liking Louis Vito at all. I left, and I was like, fuck that dude, man. Fuck Louis Vito.
Really?
So he probably, yeah, it was like 15 years ago. He probably doesn't know this at all. Like, he's probably like, what? I didn't even know you were there. But to me, it seemed like he was cold shouldering me, and I was so bummed because I was just like the quiet, shy kid in the background.
Oh, damn.
But, and then that was the one time that I was longing to be in the, the in crowd. And then little did I know, I had my own in crowd right where I left them, in Whistler, and then I never left.
That's right. Maybe you didn't know, but you're giving the cold shoulder to somebody that wanted it in your crowd. But sometimes that's it. It's like, you don't mean to be.
You just don't
Yeah,
know.
you just...
No, that's the thing, is once you are in, it sucks to say this because it's not true at all for me, but definitely for you. But if you're in the limelight a little bit, it's hard to like juggle around with like, you know, how do you say this without sounding like a loser? I'm just going to say it without like pleasing everybody, you know, like if you're Jake Kuzik and you're at a party and you're kind of shy, or you're Jed Anderson or LNP or whoever, you know, and all these people want to meet you and like hang out with you, it would be easy to go get a beer and some guy would be like, hey, what's up? And you're like, yo, what's up? And then you'd walk by and he'd be like, oh, he blew me off. And you'd be like, no, like I had to go to the washroom, or like, I didn't know that you wanted to continue to talk to me, or I'm just super shy and I felt super uncomfortable, or whatever the situation could have been.
Yeah, no, it's tricky, but yeah, it's just the lessons of life and making yourself, like just going out there and like doing it because you love it. And I think at the end of the day, you'll meet the people that you're bound to meet. And at the US Open, actually that day, I remember, I was in the parking lot and it was early in the morning and I was doing donuts because I was bored. And I was doing donuts in the parking lot, getting pretty comfortable with it, and cars were starting to show up. And then I just got a bit too confident with my donut skills, and I ran into this brand new truck.
Was donut skill gone wrong?
Oh, man. And the truck was still running with no one in it, and I couldn't speak English at all back then. And so I just was like, fuck, I can't just not tell him, and people may have seen me run into this car. So I waited there for the person to come back, and he was just going back to his truck. I'm like, excuse me. And I just pointed at his truck, and his a brand new truck, and it was this mark on the back, and he was so bummed. And I was like, sorry, sorry. And I was like, I can pay.
No.
I can pay. And I was so broke.
You're like, no, let me explain. I like just figured out how to do my donuts real good. And I obviously had to do like one more, and your truck was in the way.
I know.
He might have been like, oh, I remember learning donuts. You know what I mean? It's all good. But like, you know, maybe you didn't explain the donut story in such significance where he could have understood how important learning that is.
That's it. I couldn't even really communicate. So I offered money, and he was like, no, never mind.
I couldn't even really communicate.
And he didn't want to take my money, so he just left kind of pissed. And it's funny because later that day I met people who were like, you're sleeping in your car? Come in our hotel room tonight. Like, you can crash on the floor. So I did, and I went to this hotel room, and I was hanging out with these people, and then somebody showed up in the room, and it was that same guy. I ran to his truck, and he's like, oh no, not you again.
Oh my! And let me get, you guys like dated for a bit.
Yeah, then we made out and everything. No, just kidding.
And then I made out with him.
No, I did not at all. But yeah, we became friends, and yeah, it's all good. It's just good memories. I love going places alone sometimes. I just love the unexpected, and I love putting myself outside of my comfort zone once in a while. Not always, but you know, I think it's these moments that make you grow as a person. And it's like, yeah, if you always wait for someone to hold your hand to do anything, you're not going to do much.
No, you made a lot of like bold plays to get where you are. Because it was definitely not like an easy paved road for you. It's not like, you know, you were the girl. You know, you weren't like LeWiff's little sister and everybody was just like, oh, she's part of the club. It's like you weren't even part of the club. You were on the outskirts of the club. And then you just paid your dues, showing up to US Open, not knowing anybody, sleeping in your car, doing some donuts, you know, unfortunately hitting somebody. But then eventually, by just keep showing up, persistence, and actually going snowboarding every day and getting better, you eventually just, what happened? You did Any Means, you got Rookie of the Year, and then that was like the turning point. Then you started filming for Absinthe, and it was just game on. After Any Means, is that when you got on like Red Bull and everything? And
yeah, I think so. I guess, the US Open was kind of the start of, I guess, Oakley team manager Derek Hyde at the time had seen me that year, and I didn't really know, but he showed up a year later at the KX Steakhouse, my first year in Whistler full time, and I was just bussing tables, and he was like, hey, I've been looking for you for a year, like, I want you to be on Oakley if you're into it. Like, here's a contract for 3 years for $500 a year. And
$500 a year?
yes, and I thought that was the sickest. I was like, I can't believe that somebody's willing to pay me money to snowboard. That's insane.
Wait. A 3-year contract, $500 a year. Did it go up at all? Like $1,500 the next year? Or is it just 3-year, $500, $1,500 total?
It was 500 per year. Yeah, $1,500 total.
And you're probably, oh my, that is the sickest contract I've ever heard.
And I was so stoked. I didn't know. Okay, that was like 20 years old, 21. I still didn't know that you could make money with snowboarding. I just thought you get sponsors. I don't know why I didn't know that. Maybe I just didn't know. I never thought it was possible for me. I was just like, I'm never going to be good enough. Like, I always competed and kept pursuing snowboarding, but I was like, I'm never going to be pro. And I don't know. I was like, wow, I thought he was getting screwed in that deal for sure.
You're like, really? We can do 250. Seven. That's like 1 week of work at the keg full time plus tips.
Yes, exactly. But I guess within that year,
you're like, let's do this.
I was so stoked. And
just Oakley stickers are going up everywhere. You're like, give me the box. I'm putting Oakley stickers all over this board. Hell yeah.
It's so funny. But then I started going, like, they started sending me to bigger events and on trips. And then came, like, within a year, Red Bull happened in Rome. I was on the pro team with Rome. So within a year, I got an idea of how it works. And I was like, oh, you can actually, like, most people make a lot more. And as I had I had some decent results in contests, and then we redealt the contract after the first year. So it got a little better.
Oh, nice. That I hope so. I mean, because you were doing X Games, US Open, placing in some rail jams at that time. And then you never podiumed, though, did you?
Yeah, I'm not a podiumer, really.
And then you bailed, though. Then you were like, this isn't my jam. I'm done with the Boom Boom Huck Jam tour. And you're going back to your roots, and you're going to go film in the streets and in the backcountry. That was like some iconic shit that you were on, because there wasn't that a lot of females doing the backcountry and the rails. A lot of girls, after they're done contests, either fizzle out pretty quick or they just stick to full backcountry. You got like your Annie Boulangers and stuff like that. Not a lot of people stick with the streets. And you were doing both of them and like crushing it. Like, I remember some of your rail clips. I was like, shit, Jody, you got to keep your nose presses up, dude. Like, damn. That one nose press in Sweden, I think it was so sick.
Wow. I mean, coming from you, I know. No, I was never that legit in the streets. Let's be honest. But
that back 5-0, we could keep talking about that all day. I was like a foot up, no tap. I mean, there's a lot of dudes doing some saggy back 5-0s these days. And that was like 10, 15 years ago.
It sure was a long time ago. And I didn't 5-0 much, that's for sure. But I know I enjoyed the streets.
That's even better.
Yeah.
You're just like, hell, this is cool. Hey, LNP, is it cool to do like this back 5-0? And he's like, hell yeah. And you're like, all right, I've never done one before. Here we go. Boom.
Exactly. That's actually how it happened. I think I haven't 5-0'd since.
No way.
I was like, I've never done a 5-0. Probably should have one of those. Seems like a good spot.
Oh, must be nice. Whenever I try a trick I've never tried before and I'm filming, it ends horribly. I'm like, yo, guys, I'm going to go for the back 270. Everybody's like, don't do it, Jody. Don't you do it.
But then you grease it. Let's be honest.
No, I haven't done a back 270. I've never filmed a back 270.
There you go. This is
maybe one. Have you filmed a back 270?
Nope. Well, maybe on a box at Camp of Champs.
Well, yeah, me too. So I interrupted you there. You interrupted me there. So why don't you go out and film a back 270 this year?
Okay, Matt. Well, how about we both go?
Yeah, we should go to a rail together and do back 270s.
Will you bring your snowboard this time, or leave it in Whistler in the driveway?
Hey, that's a leave that story out of this. That's actually insane.
Yeah.
She's bringing up a trip I went on a long time ago with your ex-boyfriend, Craig McMorris, and I forgot my snowboard and boots in the driveway. And they sat there the whole time, and I convinced everybody that they got stolen out of the back of the truck halfway through the trip. Because that's what I thought would happen, because it took us that long to use the board, and I blamed it on the people of Prince George, which I'm sorry, guys, because it wasn't you. It was because I was an idiot.
That's it. Stereotyping. Big time there.
Yeah, see, I'm learning, though, you know?
A lot of work.
I'm learning. I'm becoming a better person. I promise you. And that was a big moment for me, realizing that nobody else is the problem. I'm the problem.
Yeah. Logan Short probably wasn't impressed with that assumption. PG.
No, exactly. Oh,
but that's
man.
funny. But yeah, the back to 70. I don't know. Maybe we should get that on film. That'd be hilarious.
I don't know. Do you even want to ride rails at all anymore? Do you ever like ride through the park and go like, damn, I want to do another nose press or like front 180 switch 5.0 on that thing? Or are you just like, I can't wait to go out there and do some long ass turns?
I guess I'm not really a park. Like I have barely rode the park last year, but I do miss the sessions when you're filming a trick in the streets. And like, you know, you're just setting it up and you got your crew and you have no idea what you're going to get. But I do miss filming the streets, and I don't think I can do it again. I mean, I could, but it's not something I'm planning on doing. But I just love those times. You know, I love the streets too, because most of the time, no matter what, you'll end up with a clip that day. You know, the backcountry, you can go 10 days without a freaking shot. You know, it's so hard.
It's true. The backcountry, getting a real clip is difficult. Lining everything up with the filmer is hard too. You're like, oh, this day didn't go so good. Let's shoot a slash. And you're like, right over here. And the filmer's like, right over here. And you're like, yeah, right over there. And then you're like, do your slash. And the filmer's like, I thought you said here. And you're like, no, I said there. No clip.
It's the classic. Or you land your best trick ever, and then like the camera died, or the clouds rolled in, or the heli blew out. One time, my only front 7 ever, I landed in the backcountry. The heli was filming at the same time, and they came too low to the ground, and it blew the snow everywhere. And they used the shot, but you just can't see anything. It's just so fun.
Absinthe.
Yeah, I tried so many times after that session, and it was like we had the sled tow in. It was minus 35 that day, and I never got it again. I was bummed.
And you went home and you literally thought the world was over. You're like, I didn't get my front 7 today. I just want to be alone in the shower. Nobody talk to me. Not knowing that it doesn't matter at all.
No, I don't know. I don't think I was ever that bummed.
I get worked up when I'm filming and I don't get my clip. If I come home and I like tried something, like, oh, it's so devastating because you're hitting a step down with a small little landing. You only get so many hits on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm normally out there with like, Rasman, Belzil, and Rusty. And that's 4 guys on one step down. It's like, you're all hitting that thing twice and then it's over. And then if you land in the 3rd or 4th, it just looks like shit because the landing is just destroyed. It looks like you just rode through Whistler Blackcomb on a pow day.
That's so true.
And then everyone's like, oh, you just did a back 7 on that thing? Like, that's not cool at all. John Cartwright did that in 99.
Do you know every trick that's been done on every feature in Whistler in the backcountry?
Most of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, no, actually, I'm going to correct you. All of them. Yes, I do.
Wow.
No, I don't. But I watch a lot more videos than most people, for sure. And I've watched a lot of like the people who rode in the Whistler backcountry a lot. So that tends to be the clips I know better. But if you put me somewhere like Tahoe, like where like, a lot of other super pros have ridden for a long time, I couldn't tell you where anything is there. I don't know any step down. The only thing I know there is the DCP step down that he does the back 3 in Back in Black, and then Andreas Wigg has the backside Rodeo 7 on it. In
See, you got some
Derelictica
beta
or something. Yeah, I know what's up. I know all your clips. That switchback 5 you did was sick. You got a front 5 SFT. I was like, what? She's getting them first try? I didn't land shit this year.
No way. We all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, and yours happened to be landing first try and methods. And I have a terrible method. And you have a great method. Have you ever seen a method clip by me? Never.
Really? Actually, now I think about it.
Never.
Why not?
Because I don't do a method. I got like the Tech 9 skate melon method, which is actually sick. I'm down with it. But for some reason, I'm just self-conscious of it, and I just don't ever whip it out. I've done it a few times, and it's one of those things where, back to what we were talking about before we started recording, the calculation of speed. I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to go so big. And it's like, oh, that was a stupid small melon. Or it's the complete opposite. And I go full U and I go and try and like hit that little cornice drop and I go way too big and just die.
Wow.
Let's talk about that. That was a pretty big injury for you.
Oh, yeah, that cornice broken neck drop.
I remember hearing about that because that was the same day that Hayden got hurt, right?
Yeah, and the same day that JP Walker got in an avalanche too.
I remember that day because it was like I was living with Belzil at that time. He was really close with Hayden, and Hayden was living with E-Man. We saw E-Man, and E-Man was like, yo, Hayden got like messed up. But that's a messed up day because everybody's were like super serious injuries, and I was like so spooked about the backcountry after that.
Oh, really? Yeah, I felt bad because apparently the heli went to Hayden first, and he had like an open fracture.
Oh, it did.
They went to him first, and he was in so much pain, and they're like, "Oh, you're not the neck injury? Sorry, gotta go. We'll be back." And it took so much longer. Poor guy. Shit.
Compound fracture, and they're like, no, we got to go find Mary. She's got a broken neck. But seriously, a broken neck is more life-threatening. At least they think, because apparently when they landed, they were like, peace out, Hayden.
I know. Oh, man, I felt bad, but...
Imagine that feeling. You'd be like, shit.
It would, yeah, if the heli left me and was like, oh, sorry, gotta go, I would have been so bummed. I was freezing, and we waited 2.5 hours. I wonder how long that Hayden waited. But he was definitely in more pain than I was, except when they put me in the stretcher. I was in the most pain I've ever felt. I felt like they were pulling my head out of my body. And I was begging them to stop. I was crying, and I was like, stop, you're gonna make me paraplegic, because I'm not yet.
What happened? Like, what was that injury? I feel like you were hitting a cornice and you went too fast and you just, you land on your back or something? Or
yeah, what happened was that it was late March. I was filming for Absinthe with Annie, and I was kind of stressed out about shots. I didn't have much footage that year, and I was like, we had tried some other things that day that didn't work out. And we showed up, we were like, let's go see the blowhole and what it looks like. And there was not much to do for a wall ride or anything like that. But then I saw that there was a beautiful ice wall, and I saw the top there was a cornice. And I was like, well, what if I just aired and landed on the ice, like a cliff drop, but like ice landing? That'd be kind of dope. Yeah, no, maybe not. I don't know. I was just like, fuck it. I'm just so sick of not having shots. So then...
yeah, no, maybe so. Is anybody into this? I'm going to do it. I've been there before.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there. And I remember the filmer... I couldn't really go stand on top. It was overhanging, and I couldn't really tell how much because I didn't want to stand on top for it to fall. So I just kind of guessed my speed. And even before I dropped, the filmer was like, you're going to go really slow, right? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, you always go too fucking slow. So just...
Oh my, you sound like me. Like your brain thinks just like me. I would for sure be like, filmer would be like, go as slow as possible. And then when I was up there, I'd be like, oh, none of these clips are sick. I'm gonna go a little bit faster just to make it boss.
just the wrong time to go faster. And I did go pretty slow, but it was way more overhanging than I thought. And it was pow up until the last 2 meters was straight ice, but it looked like pow. So it just accelerated even more. And I didn't have time to really slow down. Next thing you know, I'm in the air and I'm like, damn, like that. I'm for sure. I cannot land on my back because I will break my back for sure. I have to land on my feet, and I will probably blow both my knees. That's what came through my head in the air.
You thought of all of that in like 1 second. You're like, don't land on your back because that will break it. Land on your board and you're still going to blow your knees.
Yeah, I was like, you're
Fuck
probably
that.
going to blow both your knees right now, but that's your best case scenario. And so
I love that you're laughing because in that moment you must have been horrified because I've been in similar situations before and it's nothing is worse than that feeling when you're like, this isn't one of those like I can escape. You're like, I'm getting hurt.
yes, it's a guaranteed. And I just landed, but it was you couldn't really tell in the shot, but it was just so quick of an impact, and it was like a tiny bit of snow but on ice, and I instantly whiplashed to my back. So, and my head hit the ice wall, and I couldn't breathe. At first, I just couldn't breathe for like 30 seconds. I was freaking out. And like finally my breath came back, and first thing I did is move my feet because I had a bit of tangling in my arms, and I moved my feet. I was like, okay, my feet are moving. And I was like, okay, catching my breath. And I was like, okay, I think I'm fine. They all came to me, and I hadn't moved yet much. And they're like, I was like, I think I'm okay. I can probably sled down. I think I just got whiplashed. And then as soon as I tried to lift my head, even like a millimeter to get up, like the sharpest pain ran through my neck, and I was like, I can't move. And yeah, it's crazy that I thought I was fine and I could sled down.
I had, not to compare here, I had the exact same thing on a jump. I overshot it, whiplash, same thing, laying in the landing, and I was like, everyone's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Went to move my neck, and it's the sharpest shooting pain up my back, and I was like, my back's broken, call the heli, like, get me out of here. And same thing, mine wasn't broken, I just fractured it, but yeah, it's gut-wrenching even thinking about it. It makes me want to puke.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, and even at the time with the sharp pain, I was still hoping that it would just be I don't know, compressed disc or something. And then when I found out at the hospital, like I went to Whistler Hospital, and then they drove me to Vancouver, and all the doctors were like, wow, you have no idea how lucky you are because you fracture your C2, which is your second vertebrae. And they're like, this is called the hangman's fracture, which is the break that you do when you hang yourself. And they're like, if you had a tiny bit more pressure, like if you break that, like if it touched your spinal cord, you stop breathing instantly. So it's like, they're like, it's incredible your life because like only like, I don't know, 10% of people who break that survive. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm so glad you're okay.
Yeah, me too. It's like,
wow, that must have, knowing that, like, I didn't get any of those stats, nor was mine that high. Mine was a lot lower, but there is nothing worse than being strapped to a board. And my feet were tingling and stuff. I realized once they took off my boots, it was just because my laces were really tight and my anxiety, I think. And I just was like, I'm paralyzed, like, or I'm about to be.
whoa. See, nobody mentioned that to me once when I was in there. Well, they said a 1-year recovery, but within 2 weeks I was vacuuming my house. But I had a neck brace. It was kind of crazy because my fracture was stable. So then they put a neck brace on me, not the halo type, thank God. And the next day they're like, you're good to go. Get up, leave now. And I was like, no way, I can just get up and walk out of here. And I tried to get up, like they lifted the bed, and then I almost passed out trying to get up.
Wow.
And then I found out I was Well, it's just because I hadn't eaten in like 24 hours. I was starving. And so they gave me a sandwich and an orange juice, and I was right back in business. And I mean, it hurt a lot, but they gave me some strong medicine, and I was surfing after 4 months. I was really lucky.
What was your remedy? What did you do to get back on your feet from a spine injury? Like, how did you recover from that? Because that's a full year, you said.
Well, yeah, the doctor said a full year. And to be honest, I really botched it because I was on the island, and to even see a spine specialist, took like 3 months to get like I couldn't start physio right away. I didn't know when I was able to. So then I didn't see anybody for 3 months. I didn't do any physio. I didn't do anything and just stayed home. And I was like, yeah, like gardening and walking the beaches. I was filming my friends surfing, and I was like picking up trash on the beach, making earrings out of them.
Just still being incredible. You're like, well, I got nothing else to do. I might as well just be a good citizen.
Exactly.
That's some good people.
Yeah.
If you see people picking up garbage, those people deserve something. Karma. That's what that is.
That's right. Yeah, good karma. I so believe in karma.
Do you believe in karma? You do.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Me too.
Big time. And not necessarily in the same lifetime, too. I'm not sure there's several lifetimes, but I just like to believe. Like, because life is so unfair for so many, Like, I just feel so... Sometimes I feel bad for how good of a life I have. And I don't believe that people who have a bad life is because they're bad karma by any means. I'm like, why? Why is it this way? And I don't know. Some books I've read it's like, our lives, we have several lives, and we have different things to learn throughout all of them. But I don't know. I just believe that others, like, aside, that whatever you do good around you will come back to you tenfold. And I know that it's not the same for everyone. It's not fair for everyone, but I like to believe that doing good will bring good. And
are you religious in any way, or are you like just believe in like the general thing, which I think a lot of people believe in, like karma, be a good person. There is a higher power. It's not necessarily, somebody that everyone's written books about, but
yeah, no, I'm not religious at all, and I respect everybody's religion, but I do believe in some kind of a higher power
Me
in
too.
a way, like, and I can't pinpoint what it is.
Nobody can.
I believe in...
You can't pinpoint what that is. That thing's incredible. Whoever invented all of this, amazing.
Exactly.
My 2 cents is just, everybody has the right to believe in whatever they want to believe in. That's the whole thing. That's the amazing thing about freedom of actually being free, is believe whatever you want to believe. So my thing is just like, be a good person, treat everybody how you want to be treated. And if there is a God, whether it's Jesus, whoever, you're all good. Just be a good person. You're going to be just fine. To me, I don't really believe in any individual God and if I were to, I would probably believe in, one of the most ancient cultures of all time, like the Egyptians. I'd be like, well, those dudes were here for a long time, so maybe whatever gods they were believing.
There we go.
Yeah, that's my religion from this day forth. I just believe in Egypt.
That's kind of wild. Yeah, what is the secret of the pyramids?
Pyramids are pretty sick, but those the big stone structures, you help me out there. Easter Island. Those ones are pretty impressive. Whoever built that, I mean, the pyramid's cool, but Easter Island, to me, I don't know. It's so beautiful there. The pyramids, to build the pyramid in sand everywhere, I just like a little bit of greenery. So personally, I think the people who built it on Easter Island just built it in a better location. It's just nicer there. I would rather
Personal preference.
Personal preference. I would rather live on Easter Island than Egypt. Just me. I just do better in that climate, I think.
And there's surf. That's great.
And there's surf. Have you been surfing on Easter Island?
No, have you?
No? Should we go? Maybe we could find a rail to back 270 and we could surf. We could make it a trans world trip.
Yeah, if only there was budget.
They're not a magazine anymore.
I know. I like that. I didn't want to. I was like, wow, it's a sore subject there.
I know it's already been like almost a year. People are burned. But
oh, I know.
I mean,
know.
they've showed us some love, both of us, over the years. So the utmost love for everyone, especially Gerhardt. I know you're friends with G. We can quickly plug Gerhardt. Obviously from Whistler.
Gerhard was the man.
He was the man. He did a lot to help out a lot of Canadians. So that's a good little plug there.
Yeah, great plug.
Happy we got around to that one.
Yeah, I think we have similar religious views then. Yeah. I believe in guardian angels. Do you?
I believe just because so my dad's mother had, I forget the disease she had, but it's basically one of those diseases that it paralyzes all the muscles on your body slowly. And the last one to function.
MS?
Yeah, I think so. No, is it maybe a different one? Anyways, the last thing to go is like your eyes, and then your brain shuts down just because it's a muscle. And so the last thing she wrote, she had this little like Ouija, like chalkboard thing that she could slightly move. And she said something about her being my guardian angel, and then she passed away. So I'm like a firm believer that she's my guardian angel because she was the biggest sweetheart ever. And I've literally gone out snowboarding before in the backcountry, and when I'm in like some sketchy situation, I'll like say some shit to her. I'm like, you gotta be with me right now because Abby's bad and I don't want this thing to pop, or like, I don't know, just whatever predicament I could have put myself in. And I'm here today and she's gotten me out of everything. So.
That's so neat. Do you do that before everything you're scared of? Like,
no,
do you ask for protection?
I do. Oh, very rarely do I bring that card out. To me, it's like my like last resort card. And I've done it before on a front 9 and a cab 5, and both times I've landed them. It's been pretty sick. One of them was like crazy.
Wow.
Like I had like a lot of shit going on in my life. And then I like pulled that card out and I was like, okay, I'm kind of scared of doing this cab 5. And I landed it and it was dope. And I was like riding away. It was one of the most euphoric feelings I've ever had.
Wow. And do you ever do a trick, like a crazy trick, and you land and you're like, what just happened? Like, I feel like I wasn't in control here, but I just did it perfectly. Does that happen to you?
All the time. Every trick I do.
Well,
I'm like, no way, another one. I came to my feet. This is a miracle.
Your angels are good.
Yeah, I spot on with the angels. Okay, so one thing I know we've been kind of cruising for a while here, but I want to touch base on is Oakley to Patagonia. Did Oakley kind of come to an end? And then you transition over to Patagonia. I'm assuming you don't ride for Oakley eyewear anymore. I don't actually know that. I just assume with not doing the outerwear, you're just doing just Patagonia. Did you transfer over to them because they fit your like views on life and sustainability more? And same with, I mean, you don't ride for Red Bull anymore either.
Yeah, no. I'm really happy to say that I've had really good relationships with all my sponsors pretty much the whole time. Like even when I did the move from Rome to Arbor, it was like, I think in every situation there was no harsh feelings. It was just that I could feel that I was growing in different directions, and I could be aware that I was not necessarily growing in the direction that would fulfill their markets and needs, and I had such a strong relationship with Oakley for a long time. And Jake, the team manager, like at the time, he was really sweet and he would have always been there for me. And he still hooks me up with eyewear when I need. And at the time, like they were going through a lot of changes as well. So I'm pretty sure there was an offer on the table. And then at the same time, I got this opportunity with Patagonia. And of course, with the direction I was growing in, it was a dream partnership for me. And yeah, Oakley was, if anything, really understanding, and it's just pretty amazing when you could just be honest with yourself. And I'm not saying it was always easy, but, and of course it's sad when you have to end a long-term like partnership like that. But I don't know. I think I'm finally, I don't think I've like burned bridges anywhere, and I'm really happy where I'm at with the sponsors I have today. And yeah, I feel really lucky about that for sure.
That's a big one, especially it doesn't matter how old you are. It's crazy how many people I've wanted to burn bridges with when I was younger and stuff. But one thing that my dad always kind of ingrained in my head was you don't burn bridges. It's just like not a good look, and you never know who's going to filter back into your life and stuff. And to go from all those changes, Rome, Oakley, Red Bull, and transition into, Arbor, Patagonia, and Cliff Bar. It matches you so well, and you didn't leave it in like this, like, and I'm not into those brands, so like I'm out. Nor would you ever do that, but I mean, like, there is something you did it right, and I gotta say, it's something that's so cool to see somebody who gets to ride for brands that reflect their image so well. And you get to do it, and that's actually who you are, and it's incredible because there's a lot of people who get trapped with brands that don't reflect them. And then it doesn't work. At the end of the day, it doesn't help anybody because everybody's like, that dude doesn't work on your brand, and the brand's like, this dude doesn't work on us. But we're keeping him around because he gets podiums, or he's winning things, or he's the video part of the year guy. But when you can match riders with your brand that like go with what your brand's about, it's a win-win.
Yes. No, that's good. That's the goal, right? And it's, of course, at the beginning too, it's when you're just getting out there, you can't be that picky, and it's stepping stones towards that. But yeah, where I'm so stoked on to even have the support, like where I'm at today at my age, and like with my style of riding now, and like the fact that they see value in what I'm doing even beyond just snowboarding is freaking amazing. So,
Well,
yeah.
think about what you promote. You promote going out there, being environmentally conscious, going out there, enjoying the mountains for what they are, ride it. And you're an incredible snowboarder. It doesn't matter if you're not doing switchback fives off step downs anymore. Your skills are still under your feet, and you can still, and the big mountain shit that you're riding, holy shit, sometimes your heart must just be going, because some of those turns and those exits that you go through that maybe don't feel like a lot to you, I'm watching them and I'm like, I would have missed that turn and I would have went all down that rock.
No, you would not.
No, I would have. You did it right, and you're doing the whole stay a course with what like you want to be riding. You want to be riding mountains and working on your flow and style. And there is a market for that. And there are a lot of people who buy things because that's what they want to do. Especially like, think about how many people who don't want to be a pro snowboarder, but they want to go splitting to get fresh air, to go out in the mountains and do some turns. And if you can be somebody who promotes that and be someone with the history that you have, it's a no-brainer for a brand to keep you around until you're 80.
80, that's
At
it.
80, you're done, though. At 80, you're cut.
Stop milking it, Marie. You're 80 now.
No, you're not milking it at all.
No, it's, I mean, we have good years and bad years. And I mean, definitely even like I've had like, it's crazy to think that I had a Rider of the Year. I don't even remember what year, but then I got it again.
I think it was 2014 because it was the first year I went to the Trans World Award. And
oh, wow.
You got,
Look at you go.
awarded by Roman DeMarchi and DCP because I remember you getting it. Or is that right?
Wow. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all like so blurry now. It was in Vegas?
No.
See, that's it. That was so that was the second time, and I guess that was in Denver, because
the first one I went to was Denver.
My point was that but 8 years before that, it was in Vegas. So like the fact I could get Rider of the Year 8 years apart, it's twice. It's insane. Like I'm like, and I know I've had really bad years. I've had bad parts, and sometimes you just can only do so much. But I've noticed nowadays it's like I work in cycles, and like last year I had a really fun year. I'm really stoked because we got good footage, such a fun crew, and oh man, it was so fun to film with Leanne and Robin, and I hadn't had like a fun, productive year like that in a long time, so that got me really excited.
Was that the like, is that when you filmed the Method, the far track on that like cool little hippie feature?
Yeah, I guess that year
that one was that Method was so sick. I love that clip.
Thank you. I think it's my favorite clip.
You got because you smack like your back foot just a little bit on like the transit. It's so sick. It's exactly where you wanted to land. Far track. So sick.
See, angels were there because I didn't want to do it that day. I think it was the boys were like, no, you got it. It was Willie was there, and Craig, and yeah, they were like, you got it. And I was like, I don't know, and then just the angels lifted me and gave me the proper pop, and then boom,
you blacked out. You blacked out, and the angels just lifted you into the air, and they were like, grab Method, and you're like, right on.
Right on. And yeah, it was, sometimes it just lines up. For all the times that it doesn't, just feels good when it does.
It's really shitty when it doesn't line up, and you're like, no, you got this, Marie. Go for the switchback 7. And then it's just like all wrong. And you're like, no, where are the angels today?
I know. There was a lot of that this year. And like, to be honest, I haven't hugged myself like that in a while this year. We really tried, and there was not a lot of landings, but it was really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate not landing. It's like, I need to get better at not landing and be like, well, that was fun just to flip into the snow. You know what I mean? It's just like jumping into a pool. Exactly. And if you don't ride away, just don't care about it. But like for me, I bottle it up, take it home, just piss.
Just piss. It's the worst when like you really scare yourself, right? It's not something small and you're like, okay, I got this. And you really try and it doesn't work. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to hit it again. I'm going to try a different trick. And that doesn't work either. And then you're just so beat and you have no clips and you're just so bummed.
Oh, so bummed. Especially snowboarding is a short-lived like career. And if you don't get, like for you, example, you get Rider of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Women's Video Part of the Year. You get all these huge titles and you do it, throughout your whole career. Most brands are going to recognize the value in that and they're going to keep you around for a long time. But when you don't get like those, coveted awards to like back your existence, there's a lot of brands that are like, you got 1 year and it's 1 year every year. Even if you have a 3-year contract, it seems like to me, it's always like, I'm fighting for my life, and if I have a bad part, I'm done. Luckily, I've built a relationship with a few brands now where I'm starting to feel like a little bit more part of the family, which is nice. It's like, thank God. But like, it feels shitty when you're filming video part after video part and you don't have an attachment to the brands that you're riding for. For you, you've always had like Oakley and Rome and even Red Bull, and you build these huge relationships with them. And if you film a few shitty years and a few off years, you hope that they still have your back.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, it's like every year they're like, well, I hope I don't get dropped because I had one bad year.
Yeah, I know. But
a lot of them
harsh.
do.
It's so harsh. And like you said at the beginning, I feel, like for Dara and Jill, it's so harsh that if you're not like, the top 10, there's just not much opportunity sometimes. And you're always scared to lose your spot. Yeah,
Jill for sure in the contest world. Dara, but like Dara in the film world, she like really committed to that and just had like unfortunate injury after injury after injury, which was like pretty to the point one time she like fully kind of quit snowboarding, moved to Vancouver and started doing yoga again and being like, I'm going to be an instructor and just, I'm done trying to be a pro snowboarder. And then she wanted it so bad that she couldn't even handle that decision. So she just like came back full force.
She's so rad. She was my camper I think my first year coaching Camp of Champs, and I just love.
No way.
Yeah, and she was so freaking good. Like she was doing the sickest front fives. Like at the time, not many of the campers would jump, especially the girls, and I just knew that she had something special, and I'm so glad she pursued it. And I just love that I know she's had all these struggles, and she's never gotten the recognition she deserves, but she's still doing it because she loves it, and it's just amazing. Respect.
And now it's like she's still out there filming. Like,
It's so sick.
it's the best. Are there any other females, like, who inspired you growing up? Like, who were some girls that you looked up to growing up? I mean, entering the film community and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty male dominated. Being there with a small group of girls, who are some of the girls that you enjoyed to do your career with and that inspired you to ride the way you ride?
Well, yeah, for sure. Lots of them. Tara is definitely a big one, like the main one, I would say. But also Barrett, Christie. I just loved like Barrett's like humility, and she was just a real charger and seemed like a sweetheart. And now knowing her, like it's just so cool that that's who she is. Um, but yeah, all the girls inspired me. Like it didn't matter. Like all of them had brought something, and even today, like I love watching all the girls push it, the younger ones, and like I love Maria Thompson's story. I love the passion that Jess has and is bringing the next generations into filming. I just admire that so much. And I don't know, even what Leanne's done with Runway Films and Full Moon, and what Robin's taking on right now. They're all friends and writers I look up to. There's not one female writer that really I don't appreciate something out of them. That's for sure. I think it's sweet how everybody brings in a little something, and I really admire people who are passionate, and it shows. And my highest admiration goes to the ones who use their passion and skills to even offer something that will go beyond their own benefit. And I think that's something that somebody like Jess and Leanne and everybody that is doing. It's just like they're sharing their piece of the pie. They're doing so much for the other female writers, and that's amazing.
Big time. There's a lot of females that when they get to a certain age that decide to like give back a lot. Jess, Leanne, doing lots of dope stuff for lots of younger girls, which is so awesome because like we said at the beginning, the like piece of the pie for girls to take over even right now is so small, but like we got to make that pie a lot bigger. And I mean, it should be. It makes sense, and it's the way the world is headed. And if it's not, we don't want to be a part of it.
That's right. Awesome.
So, what stuff can you forage off the land and eat and not die? This is just not even for the podcast. I just need to know if I was lost in the woods, is there anything that I can be like, holy shit, I can eat that yellow flower?
Well, there's lots, but that would be another 2-hour conversation. But if you're stuck in the woods and you need to survive, you could eat a pine bark, like the inside layer of pine bark, and that will be enough nutrition for you to survive. You can eat grass. You can eat I don't know. You need to come on a tour around the homestead.
That I do. I do have to come on a tour. Okay, so we got a few more questions before we wrap this up. Would you rather skate, snowboard, or surf? What's your favorite? Are they all equal? Where do you prioritize these?
Oh man, I would say skate is last. I'm sorry, it's just because I'm not that good at it, and it's probably the one I've sucked the most at. But it doesn't matter. I still enjoy it, and I probably respect skating the most. Surfing and snowboarding is a tough one. Like if I had to choose one that I will do for the rest of my life, and I have to pick one, I would probably pick surfing because it's like, okay, if I only have a bit of life yet, I will do the one thing I've done the least yet. But yeah, ideally, I'd like to keep all three in my life for as long as possible.
There you go. Good answer. Well, that kind of ruined my next question. Would you rather live in the mountains forever or the beach?
Well,
I know that you dialed in doing both, but it's rude. Where would you go if you had to go full time forever? Would you stay in Whistler or would you go Yuki? I think you would do Yuki. But this is your question.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like that. That's why I set up my life to be half and half right now. It's the best of both worlds. But
that's a good answer.
I guess I don't know. Like I don't know if I had to pick. It's not like the surf is that good here. If it was like Whistler or like a tropical perfect wave, I'd definitely pick surfing. But I don't know. I love them both so much. And I'm so freaking lucky. That's what I mean though. It's like we can complain about not landing tricks and then really you pull back and realize like how freaking lucky we are. And I always say this, that I feel like I'm the luckiest person on earth. Like I'm in the 0.0001%. And I'm not talking about rich, but like money rich, but life rich. I'm in the 0.000001. So
I agree. I mean, and you built your own house. And you taught everybody on the podcast that they can eat bark from any tree. Right? That's what you said?
That's right. Any tree, any mushrooms, they're all good for you.
Any red berries, just throw them down the hatch. No, I'm just kidding. Do not commend that on the podcast. You could get extremely sick or die. Okay, 3 more questions before we go. What's your favorite book? You got one?
My favorite book? I don't have a favorite book, but I'm trying to learn. I'm reading a book about seaweed right now. I'm trying to name all the West Coast seaweeds, so that's cool.
Okay, favorite book? Seaweed book. What, you got a name for us? Is it beside you or?
It's no, it's not even like, it's just like it's the Guide to Pacific Seaweed. I just don't have a favorite book, but I like to read about. I'm not really a novel person. I did like really though The Tattooist of Auschwitz, really good book. But it's not a novel because it's a true story. But
that's a novel. To me, I don't read fiction books. I only read nonfiction. I like to read like factual stuff about, like, for example, my girlfriend Chelsea just got a new book on plants, and so I've just been reading about plants.
That's
and
great.
Like what they can do for you. And I'm just like, I'd rather learn about that than read a book on like Star Trek and be like, I learned nothing today. But that also helps people, helps people be creative. It probably helps people with stress. But for me, I'd rather get information that's actual, like, that I can use day to day.
I'm the same. Like I love that. It's like I like to read about like social issues, or I have this other good book I haven't finished. I've had for years. It's a big one. I'm a slow reader, but it's called The Price of Inequality, and I find it very interesting because like what's happening right now is a lot of it you can relate to in that book, and I don't know. I think it's good to learn, and like it's not that often that I read, but like you, it's like I'd rather read something constructive than just a fake story. But to each their own.
I agree. And the last question, the most important question: have you met David Suzuki?
I have met him.
I mean, he did the intro for one of your teasers. I mean, I ran into David Suzuki at Tim Hortons one time.
You did?
Yep.
Did you talk
to him? He had a green tea. I checked it out. I was like, whoa, double, David Suzuki. Saw the little thing. It was a green tea. I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming he doesn't drink black tea. It could have. I'm just assuming it's green tea.
Yeah, he is Japanese. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm really close at all. But yeah, I've actually seen him speak. Went to a few of his events, and yeah, he's definitely somebody I look up to. And but yeah, I'm not his BFF by any means.
All right, you got any shout outs or anything that people should do? Should we all subscribe to POW, protect our winters? What should people be doing? How can they reach out to you?
Yes. Okay, so what you gotta do, yeah, of course, become a a member of POW Canada, and why it's important is not, we don't need your money. We're not going to send you a ton of annoying emails, but the reason why it matters is because the more members we have, the more power we have to be heard if we want policy change at our governmental level, which is something that we're really going to be working towards in the next few years. And also, I want to just give a shout out to POW US, because I know that they have a big election coming. And even as Canadians, I think we can have a lot of influence on all our American friends and be sure that we get a positive outcome this fall. So let's be heard and don't be afraid to speak up with respect, of course. But I think that snowboarders, we're known to take risk and have fun, but it's nice to take risk in different ways and just take risks for things that matter for the next generations too.
Sick statement, because really sliding around on a piece of wooden 2x4 doesn't really matter. It's kind of goofy. But like what does matter is if you can use your influence like you do to get people to go out there and change government policies so that we still have snow and ecosystems that are like protected. And so that,
that's it. And that we still have like a system that works and like, it's like live with a quality of life that allows us to go enjoy the things we love, no matter what it is, and have access to education and healthcare. And so, it's snowboarding is important to us, but it's just like a synonym of a happy life. So let's keep it going.
Let's do that. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Been a big fan since I met you many moons ago. Keep up. Are you going to be building a community out of like mud and clay, or is that just like one and done? You built your house and you're done, or can people hire you? Or
it's one and done for now. But if you have questions, hit me up. I love to nerd out about this stuff. That's for sure.
All right. Yeah. You're doing a great job. Just grow some cabbage. It's going to be awesome.
I'm on it.
You're incredible. See you later.
Thank you.
The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966. 66!
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?